Welcome to another episode of back in Hawaii after a 2-month trip to New York. And I have to say, it was awesome back in New York and it inspired a topic that I think could resonate with everyone because I've heard it and seen it kind of trickling around the internet, is the impact of working remote on the creative industry. This is coming from a person who literally working in the US couldn't be working more remote on the North Shore of Oahu. I mean, spending time with Lucy, my partner, seeing Lucas, seeing my friends, Miles, discussing ideas. I mean, the power and energy of being in real life and being back in the city was super inspiring. And I sometimes forget the power of human connection. So I definitely think working remote has impacted me personally in the way I work. And that's not to say that I'm just going to revert back to just being in real life all the time. For me, I think it's about being intentional of when and why I do gather, and in my process of doing things, the importance of being in real life. And I'll give you a perfect example is right now, me and Lucy are really trying to understand what is the future of Bright Colors, what is the work we want to be doing, and what is the impact we really want to be making, right? And that's the kind of thing that over a Zoom call, I have to be honest, with the perfect agenda and us kind of zoning out, me having my green tea and my pad and putting posts up, I think could honestly happen. But me and Lucy basically out east sat on our deck and we had an hour and a half meeting, and it was so rewarding to just sit there, look at each other and talk in real life. And we made so much progress in a small amount of time. And it's these subtle nuances that I can't even explain that you just don't capture through talking to someone. Think about it. When you're on a Zoom call, the person's like one-dimensional, right? Like having a 3-dimensional experience and talking about what you really want, I think there is value of those connections. So to give you some context, I'm planning another meeting now in September, heading back to New York for 10 days to network, to meet with Lucy, to follow up on what we discussed. And here's where the importance of being remote is I now back in Hawaii get into my personal rhythm, right? My focus, as awesome as New York is, it's also distracting. These back-to-back real-life meetings, I feel like I'm reacting instead of acting. And at a point of creation, the action of creating is an action. It's an intention. So coming here, being back in my studio in Hawaii, having that focus, now it's time to have those follow-up meetings over Zoom. And I think a Zoom meeting can be super impactful if it's done correctly, right? So I think the in-person meeting is about the foundation. Being in real life is the founding of ideas, the connection, the collaboration between two people, which is unmatched. But that can then be followed up with really intentional, focused Zoom meeting. And the next thing that can really impact your work in a negative way is self-discipline. I have been doing this for a long time. In my work practice and my personal practice, I am a creature of habit and a person of discipline. I wake up, I do the same thing every morning. I have the same sort of breakfast. I drink the same tea. I get into my office and I have the discipline then to sit down and start to kind of create and build off that inspiring meeting that me and Lucy had back in New York. And I get to spend the next month working, brainstorming, obviously having check-in meetings, but then getting together in real life in New York and having that meeting in person to really kind of share and evolve the foundation we built in that real life. So to me, I think the impact on the creative industry is that we need to really rethink the way we do things. I don't think the world is ever going to be 100% in the office again. I just don't think it made sense. I mean, this is coming from a guy, if you worked at the 88, we got to work at 10 a.m. in the morning and didn't leave the office till 8 p.m. every day. We worked 5 days a week in the office till midnight on Wednesdays. We'd work on new business and obviously developing the business. And weekends, we had a lot of spirits clients. We had events. So I'm a person that back in the day, I forget the CEO of Yahoo, she began this work from home culture. I was so strongly against it. My foundation. I mean, the reason the company is called the 88 was because of 88 Prints. My office was the foundation of me building the company. And the small nuances of what was on my desk to my library of books behind me was how I built my company, built my reputation, was able to connect with existing employees, people that I partner with, and clients. It was that embodiment having an office. And now I have to learn to kind of mix that. So another thing that I've done, which you can kind of see back here, is being really intentional. If you are going to work remotely and have this mix of in real life and remote, like think about your Zoom meeting. As you can see behind me, I have these 2 shelves with a bunch of kind of pieces of art and things from clients and projects I'm working on, and the colors up there are kind of prints we made for bright colors. Like building and art directing your Zoom background is so important, including this mic. This mic follows me into my Zoom world. This isn't only for my vlog. And sometimes I get kind of comments like, hey, am I on a podcast right now? But to be honest, it's like, I want the Zoom experience of a person. I'm here to play. I'm taking this seriously. I'm not like, I'm on my computer with some like bad backlit. You kind of see the corner of my bed and maybe just like, I don't know, like dirty laundry on the floor. I'm like, whoa. Like, wait a second. Like, yes, I know we're working remote, but like come to a Zoom meeting ready to play. Be in the zone. I kind of call this like jokingly, like this is my like recording studio and you're on the mic and I'm about to record a track. That's how I come to Zoom meetings. I come to Zoom meetings like ready to go. So if you are going to have a Zoom meeting and you are working remote, don't treat it casually. Have a point of view. Show who you are when you're getting that person, when you have that first glimpse of you, especially with somebody you haven't worked before. Like, show them that they're coming into your world and that as a creative, this is the world you're building. So I do think having art directing, what the point of view of your Zoom is super important. I have to be honest, early in COVID, when we first did this, it was not the case. It was like, sometimes I'd have my computer to like a weird low angle. I was working on my father-in-law's a house on one of my father-in-law's property. It was like a treehouse. It was super cool. Had an amazing view, but the lighting was terrible. I had no background. I had a terrible angle. I was like always figuring out a new spot. Like, I do think that like create a point of view into how you're presenting yourself on Zoom is super important. Then again, in your meetings, being very clear, coming with intention, having small talk, being personal, having a personal connective moment. Like, don't just be all business, but you have to have that balance between that connected personal moment between you, your team, and the client, but then also like getting to business, going through the deck. Obviously, deck culture is super important, having very clear, concise decks to express it, amazing visuals, and having practice. I'm a very off the cuff presenter. Like, I don't usually like write down what I'm saying or kind of get deep into it, but like being clear on the roles in the meeting is more important than ever, because it's really bad when you're kind of cutting each other off in a Zoom meeting, or if there's that odd silence between who's going when. So obviously having a really intentional, powerful meeting. And then in general, the goal for Bright Colors is to not only have these intentional moments between me and Lucy, but intentional moments with the team, right? I love a really great like team retreat. And again, I think that's really good to like really have intentional time. You get the whole team together where you can really focus, lock in, and be super present, right? Like, would I rather you're not going to get 100%, but 80% of someone's attention for a week or 30% of someone's attention for a month? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Because you're making someone come to the office every day, your life is happening, they may be all over the place, like just having that really deep, like I think the idea here is depth, right? We lived in a world where it's like, we got up, we commuted, we went to the office, logged onto our computer, we opened up our social media, we checked in, we clocked in, we did our time, and we left the office. How about a more intentional way of working? Intentional in real life meetings and intentional online meetings. And then finding that time for that personal rhythm to do the work that needs to be done in the places you want to do that work, but then come together to build as a team. So that's my point of view of how working remotely has impacted the creative industry and my life. And again, the last 2 months was awesome being in New York. New York, I love you. I will always love you, but I need to leave you to love you. If that makes any sense. I always say New York is my favorite city to come home to. So it was fun to come home. I'm happy to be back in Hawaii. I'm looking forward to my September trip. If anyone wants to meet up in New York in September, let me know. I'll probably be there in like the second week of September. I'd love to see you in real life. Peace.